150 years ago, but in 2015, the controversy surrounding Nathan Bedford Forrest is reaching a boiling point.
We don't need to celebrate one of the founders of the Ku Klux Klan as one of our primary celebration days in Tennessee.
Monday, Rep. Mike Stewart filed a bill to abolish a day in his honor. 6 days earlier, Nashville's Metro Council moved to cover the highway monument to Forrest with brush.
That statute and those flags do not represent the values of Nashville.
And soon, the Capitol Commission will discuss whether the bust of Forrest belongs on state grounds at all. Tennessee State Museum curator Jim Hubler also curates for the Capitol. He was against the bust when it was placed in the 80s, but now...
I think it's part of our story. It's part of what made us who we are. And if you forget where you come from and how you got here, you might have to go through the whole thing again.
And get this, he says while most people know Forrest as a slave owner, a Klan founder, and for attacking men after they surrendered, there's a lot they don't know.
He was a man of his time, but he also evolved.
He dumped the Klan after less than 2 years and started advocating for African American rights.
He calls for educating them and bringing them into mainstream culture.
He rallied against those involved with lynching.
He was going to get a posse together and, in his word, exterminate those white people that were killing blacks.
Is it enough to change people's minds? Maybe not, but historians say when it comes to people's characters...
All people are not 100% good or 100% bad.
Yep, all people aren't 100% good, and all people aren't 100% bad. That's just how things are. And that's why we're going to go over what I coined the term, which was something he coined. We indicated that we were going to go over this, so we're going to go over it. Nathan Bedford Forrest, this was one of his quotes. Get there first and with the most men. that quote, that tactical analysis of warfare is probably one of the greatest in military history. And it's very necessary for us to understand what that means and how that can help the movement. And I could give you an example that happened here just recently, happened over the weekend in Portland. There was a right rally, the far right, and then there was the Black Lives Matter movement, very well organized, very peaceful, very surgical. You remember those words I used. Very tactically sound and very strategically thought out. The right was supposed to have thousands of people there. They only showed up with maybe 100. The Black Lives Matter movement, 500 or 600. Peaceful. Klan memorabilia, Confederate flag flying. That's their standard. Very weak showing to the battlefield. This kind of battle that we're fighting now. We could take away from Portland that we won that battle. We won that battle that day, and it was a great victory for the revolution, a great victory for America, and a great victory for the common man. And Forrest, as you heard on the clip there, Forrest was not only a complicated person, but he was one of the world's greatest tacticians. He didn't believe in taking prisoners. He started out as a Klan member. He owned slaves. Then something happened, as you heard in that segment. That's what it's all about. That's what we need to understand. There are some people who are unapologetically racist. It's just simple as that. Are you going to change them? At their deathbeds? Probably. But more than likely, no. But there's some people, once, and this is very indicative of knowledge. This is very indicative of when you start to, bam, think on your own. When you start to do that, that's the light, you could call it God, the light of Buddha, the light of Krishna, the light of Muhammad, all of the great minds. For some reason, and like I said, I don't like to get metaphysical, but for whatever reason or for some reason, once the light hits, something goes off in the it kind of like bam, you know what I mean? Socrates or Aristotle, one of them, had a poem or a writing about once a man sees the light, he can't. The darkness can no longer holds any appeal. That's what happens when you think for yourself. When you look around and you say, wait a minute, why am I here? Wait a minute, why am I doing this? Wait a minute, I need to question my actions. When you do that, that light of knowledge, that light of skepticism, that light of understanding oneself never wants to go back to the darkness. And it tends to make not only better decisions, but right decisions, righteous decisions. Tomorrow night is going to be the debate. I have no doubt that in this day and time, after all that's happened, I don't have a problem with who comes out on top, because I already know who is. I know Joe Biden is. Why? Because he has the power of self-knowledge, the power of right on his side. Trump is going to do something, mark my words, and you can come back to this video after tomorrow night's video and say, you know what? You are right, voice in the wilderness. Because the voice of hate, the voice of wanting to please the masses just so that you can amass power, thievery of a person's ability to think on their own, thievery of a person's ability to be skeptical or to be critical of how you think, and you not allowing that ability to flourish, is, for all intents and purposes, self-defeating. You defeat yourself. So that's how I know Biden's going to win the first debate, and it's going to change a lot of people's minds across the board. But Biden's not going to do much of anything. Watch Trump do it himself. He won't be able to help himself because selfishness is a flaw. It's a human flaw. It's a flaw that does not allow one to open up their heart and their minds to everyone and to all things in not only a skeptical way, but in a righteous way. I'm not talking about just the things that we see as right and wrong, but the things that other people see as right and wrong. Yes, there is right and wrong. Yes, we know what right and wrong is. The key is to understand why the people that hate for what their reason for hating. And Trump is going to tell you tomorrow night. He's going to tell you why people hate. And I've already talked about it in multiple videos. It's about holding power. It's about not giving anyone a chance to have a voice. And it's about minimizing and ostracizing people that are different than you. And so when you have that, you have a mindset that can't think clearly. You have a mindset that doesn't allow you to be focused on the righteousness of a cause that allows other diverse points of view. And this goes straight across the board. It goes to people who are feeding on the flesh of their own people, the so-called analysts. They're always talking about, oh, you know what I mean? Yeah, we need to. People keep telling us that, yes, we should stand up and pull ourselves up by our bootstraps. Why shouldn't we? We should understand that we need to get there first, and with the most men, with the most women. We need to understand that a lot of our success in this movement is going to be, the success of the movement is going to be, we're going to have to count on people being able to move on their own, to think on their feet, to be able to say, I got this, you guys go here. And then the next person says, okay, yeah, I'm going to go into courts and I'll take care of that. You understand what I'm saying? Oh, when I make so much $1 million, I'll fund you so that you can do that. You know what I mean? The lines of community, those kind of things, we can't rely on others to do for us. We have to do that for ourselves. And you can't help other people unless you help yourself. You can't be a strong individual unless you're strong within yourself. You can't be strong for your wife and your kids unless you're strong within yourself. When Nathan Bedford Forrest said, you know what, I'm quitting the Klan, I know what went off. I know what went off in his head. I'm going to close it with saying this. He actually got there first, finally, and with the most men.